American military bases across the Middle East are currently being abandoned as you watch this unfold. This isn't happening as part of an orderly drawdown or strategic repositioning. Rather, these bases are being evacuated under fire, while Iranian drones and missiles rain down in relentless waves that have persisted for nearly 2 weeks. The long-held belief in the invincibility of American military power, the foundational idea that no adversary could threaten a U.S. installation, and that American technology was untouchable. This myth has not just cracked, it has shattered. This collapse has been broadcast live on television, captured by Chinese sailors on commercial vessels, shared by South Korean news networks, tracked by British maritime agencies, and quietly confirmed by our own intelligence community. What we are witnessing is not merely a single incident. It represents a systemic collapse of confidence in American defense capabilities occurring in real time. This shift is restructuring the entire global order, while most Americans are being told that everything is fine. In the next few minutes, I will illustrate exactly what is unfolding across 8 countries, why Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth failed to foresee this crisis, why our allies are refusing to participate, and why the world you inhabit today looks fundamentally different from the one that existed before February 28th. Imagine hiring a security company to protect your home. They promise you the best technology, the fastest response times, and the most advanced systems money can buy. Then one night, someone breaks in, and instead of responding, the security company cannot even defend its own headquarters. Its alarm systems fail, and its guards scramble for cover. How long before you start searching for a new provider? Hold that thought, because this is precisely what every Gulf state, every Asian ally, and every European partner is calculating right now. Drop your answer in the comments. At what point does a protector become a liability? Let's rewind the clock, as this disaster did not start with the first Iranian missile. It began months earlier when Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's defense secretary, systematically dismantled the United States military's most experienced leadership. Some of America's top generals, those who understood Middle Eastern theater operations deeply and had spent entire careers mastering the complexities of multilateral defense coordination, were pushed out, not due to failure, but because they were deemed insufficiently loyal. What replaced them was not the next generation of strategic brilliance. It was what I term the Pete Hegseth principle, which is somehow even worse than the Peter principle. Loyalists and sycophants rising to positions for which they were never qualified. Then came the trigger. When intelligence suggested that Israel was preparing to strike Iran first, and that such an action could provoke Iranian retaliation against American assets, Trump made his choice. Instead of clearly communicating to Netanyahu that America would not support a preemptive strike, Trump rushed in. The United States launched a strike against Iran without notifying its Gulf state allies. Not Saudi Arabia, not the UAE, not Kuwait, not Qatar, not Bahrain. Not a single one received a call. In response, Iran, under its new supreme leader Mojtaba Ham, described by the Jerusalem Post as more dangerous than his predecessor, retaliated in a manner that the Pentagon's depleted leadership had not prepared for: sustained, decentralized, multi-front warfare that has not relented for a single day. The U.S. and Israel have bombarded Iran with massive strikes, targeting areas in Tehran and beyond, including tragically striking elementary schools, hospitals, and desalination facilities, resulting in the deaths of thousands of civilians. This carnage did not rally the Iranian people toward the West. Instead, it united them around their new Ayatollah, extinguishing any fragile hope for internal change sparked by the protests in January. Here is your first piece of evidence, written in burning oil on the surface of the Persian Gulf. The Strait of Hormuz, through which approximately 20% of the world's oil passes daily, has become a kill zone. Iran's military spokesperson now holds daily briefings, stating plainly that not a single liter of oil will pass through if it benefits the United States, Israel, or their allies. This is not mere bluster. In just the last 24 hours, the United Kingdom's Office of Maritime Operations reported a significant increase in attacks on commercial shipping vessels and oil tankers. 3 ships were struck in a single day. A Greek-owned vessel flagged to Malta was hit during a ship-to-ship oil transfer, with a Marshall Islands flagged American-owned tanker. The resulting spill appears to rival or exceed that of the Exxon Valdez disaster. Thai media is broadcasting photographs of injured crew members, from a Thai-flagged cargo ship that Iranian forces struck. When Donald Trump claims the strait is perfect, and his energy secretary briefly mentions that the U.S. is conducting naval escorts before quietly deleting the post, you don't need an intelligence briefing to see the deception. You just need to look. Iranian unmanned surface vessels, Shahed drones, and cruise missiles are making this waterway functionally unusable. Moreover, Iran is signaling that the Red Sea is next, using the Houthis as their instrument. Senior Iranian military officials told Al Jazeera that if Washington makes another strategic mistake, another strait will face the same fate. Here is your second piece of evidence, one that should alarm every American ally on the Pacific Rim. South Korean media is now broadcasting footage of THAAD missile defense systems, systems promised to South Korea to defend against North Korean aggression, being physically removed from Korean soil and shipped to the Middle East. The United States is so depleted in the Gulf theater that it is stripping missile defense systems from one ally to plug the gaps created by another adversary. The reason for this is devastating. Iran appears to have developed, with Russian and Chinese assistance, new missile variants and drone systems that consistently overwhelm American Patriot and THAAD interceptors. Video captured by Chinese sailors on March 3rd shows 6 Patriot interceptors launched at 2 Iranian missiles approaching a UAE oil storage facility. The Iranian missiles evaded all 6 interceptors. Each Patriot round costs millions, while many of the Iranian drones they are targeting cost only $20,000. This presents a strategic nightmare. How many of those incoming drones are decoys, cheap, unarmed platforms designed to drain billion-dollar interceptor stockpiles? We do not know. However, if the systems were performing as expected, they wouldn't be pulling batteries from the Korean peninsula. Meanwhile, Kim Jong-un is posting videos of himself overseeing cruise missile test launches from a new 5,000-ton destroyer. North Korea is not merely observing, it is taunting, testing, while the systems meant to deter it are packed onto cargo planes headed to Qatar. Here is your third piece of evidence, and it will resonate for decades. The collapse of Allied confidence in American protection is now evident across every continent. In the Middle East, every Gulf state, Oman, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, along with Iraq, Lebanon, and even Israel, has absorbed Iranian strikes over 12 days of conflict. Every single one. And what does Doug Burgum, Trump's Interior Secretary, say? He claims, "Our Gulf state allies have never been happier." Never been happier? Tell that to the people watching refineries ignite and oil storage facilities explode. Tell that to the residents of Dubai witnessing an Iranian drone strike a skyscraper in Creek Harbor. Tell that to the 9,115 missile damage claims Israel has filed after 11 days, covering 6,586 buildings, 1,044 pieces of equipment, and 1,485 vehicles. Spain has explicitly refused to allow its bases to be used for offensive operations against Iran. The United Kingdom said no. France said no. They understand that enabling American strikes means inviting Iranian retaliation at distances exceeding 2,000 kilometers. Romania agreed to host U.S. aircraft and 500 troops. But analysts immediately noted that Tehran to Bucharest sits well within the range of at least 6 known Iranian missile variants. Asian nations that, until February 28th, were betting everything on American power to contain China, are now asking the only question that matters. If the U.S. cannot defend its own Gulf installations against Iran, what realistic chance does it have against Beijing? If this analysis is connecting dots you have not seen assembled anywhere else, it's because this conflict spans 8 fronts simultaneously, and no single outlet is tracking all of them. You are already ahead of most people trying to understand what is happening. Hit subscribe right now. We are approaching 7 million subscribers, and when the next escalation occurs, whether it's the Red Sea closure, the Romanian deployment, or the Pacific ripple effect, you need to be here. What makes this conflict so structurally devastating is that Iran is not fighting in the way American war planners expected. Under Mutabaham, Iran has deployed decentralized command and control units operating across 8 simultaneous fronts. There is no single nerve center to decapitate with a precision strike. Each front operates semi-independently. While Trump declares Iran to be totally decimated, both American and Israeli intelligence confirm that the Iranian regime remains largely intact, not just intact, but now led by someone assessed to be more extreme and strategically aggressive than his predecessor. On the American side, Pete Hegseth has fired the generals, Doug Burgum serves as a wartime spokesperson, and Jared Kushner, a real estate developer's son-in-law, sits in meetings with Russian envoys in Florida. This is the same Russia that is actively helping Iran develop the weapon systems currently striking American bases. Steve Wickoff, Trump's real estate friend turned special envoy, was reportedly in Oman when a deal in principle was reached, and that very night, the U.S. struck anyway. Iran did not choose this fight, but its leadership prepared for it methodically, building drone swarms, developing interceptor workarounds, and establishing proxy networks. Trump's team prepared by firing the experienced leaders and promoting loyalists who perform well on television. So, what does this mean for you? Start with energy. Oil prices per barrel are climbing dramatically despite the U.S. and international agencies releasing massive quantities from strategic reserves. If reserves are being tapped, the administration knows the situation in the Strait is far worse than publicly stated. Every dollar added to the price of a barrel affects what you pay at the pump, at the grocery store, and for anything transported by road or sea. But the deeper consequence is structural. Once Japan, South Korea, Australia, and European powers conclude that American guarantees are unreliable, they will not merely worry. They will build alternatives. This includes new bilateral defense pacts, independent missile programs, and realigned supply chains. Once those alternatives exist, they do not vanish. They become permanent. Where does this lead? 3 possible scenarios emerge. Scenario 1 is a managed off-ramp. Back-channel negotiations produce a ceasefire, with both sides claiming victory. Iran retains its deterrent credibility, and the U.S. repositions its forces, calling it strategic. However, the structural damage to American credibility does not reverse, and Gulf states and Asian allies adjust permanently. Scenario 2 is the domino realignment. South Korea accelerates its independent missile defense. Japan fast-tracks constitutional revision. India negotiates separate security arrangements with France and the UK. And Gulf states openly purchase Russian and Chinese systems. A multipolar defense architecture emerges where America remains powerful, but is no longer the single organizing center. Analysts consider this the most probable outcome. Scenario 3 is the one nobody wants to name. Iran closes the Red Sea through Houthi proxies. Oil prices reach levels that trigger a global recession. Romania absorbs an Iranian strike, raising Article 5 questions, and China increases pressure on Taiwan while Russia escalates in Ukraine. Multiple crises converge simultaneously, and the Trump administration, staffed with loyalists instead of strategists, lacks the institutional depth to manage any of them. Here's what I know. You can possess the most advanced weapon systems ever built, the most expensive interceptors, and the most powerful carriers on Earth. But in the hands of those who have fired the experts and elevated loyalty over competence, even the most sophisticated military can be brought to a standstill by a determined adversary deploying $20,000 drones in waves. The relationship between the United States and its global allies will never look the same after these 12 days. Even if Trump left office tomorrow, every foreign ministry, every defense ministry, every strategic planning office on the planet has learned this lesson. You never place all your strategic eggs in one basket. Once alternatives are constructed, they do not disappear. They become permanent. So I leave you with this. Did Iran expose the fragility of American power, or did Donald Trump shatter it himself? Is this a temporary crisis, or the opening chapter of an irreversible restructuring? And if you are sitting in Tokyo, Seoul, Canberra, or Berlin tonight, what exactly is your plan B? Drop your answers in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe, because the next chapter, whether it's the Red Sea escalation, the Romanian front, or the Pacific realignment, is coming fast. This story is not slowing down. New Jane Wilson merch is available at store@midastuch.com. Get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support today. This content is for commentary and analysis purposes only. It does not constitute financial, legal, or geopolitical advice. Consult qualified experts before making any decisions based on this analysis.